Hello everyone. Today we're going to create this amazing registration form as well as this login form, and after successfully logged in we'll be able to land in our profile page. And all of these things we're gonna create by using React. And to create our user authentication and uploading the images, we will use that Firebase platform. We're gonna use that Firebase authentication to create user, authenticate the user. We're gonna use that firestore database to save our user profile over there, and as well as the storage to store our images there. And we will use a wait to create our application, then the Tailwind CSS to styling our application, and then we're gonna use that Zustand to create our store by which we'll be able to toggle through that our user is available or not. So first, let's just get a small demo what we're gonna build. So as you see, there will be the first name. If you click on that, there is validation going on. Each and every validation is coming from the Firebase through the backend, so you don't need to worry about what kind of things is coming. We will handle each and every case scenario. So first, I'm gonna give my first name, I'm gonna provide my last name, and then the email, and I need to provide a password. And now I can upload a file. So I'm gonna keep my upload my profile photo. So let's just send, and after successfully transmit the data, there will be several things going to be happen. So my registration form, it will be false, so the login form, it will appear. As you see, it appeared, and the data, it will reach to Firebase. If I just go through to see my authentication, you'll be able to see, as you see, my email is available here with a valid ID, and password is stored also. Now there is a firestore database where all the information, it's going to be aligned here. As you see, in the users directory, there is my user, and I'm just saving password in a simple way. You can hash it, either you want to keep it or not, because in the authentication layer, it will just already gonna manage that. And in this storage, I will be able to see my images, which I already been just uploaded here. The name is coming through the date, and then my name, which I'm providing. Now let's go and create a login. So I will just put my email and then the password which I have been provided. Now after logged in, I'll be able to reach in my profile screen. So this is my profile. I'm just getting my name, getting my email, and the logged out thing. So now this is the entire things we're gonna build. So if I click the logout, it's just landing in my sign in form. So by default, sign in, it will be applicable. Once we are registering, we can just click and go back to our registration. And let's just start that things. And to start, we will just start with a from the beer project. As you see, this is my just a build directory here, which is, you can see here, nothing is available right now. So we will create our application. I'm gonna just minimize a bit so you can see the code base properly. Okay, I'm gonna make it little bigger. Okay, so now here, as you see, I already opened my terminal, and in the terminal, which is PowerShell running, either you can have your git bash and other parameter. So let's go in the wait, what is saying how to install. If you go over there in the wait, there is that command we need to run. I'm gonna copy that command, I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna give access to install that everything in my root directory, means within that directory, means in the build folder, all will be installed. So from that options, I will select that React, and for this application, it will be very light, so I'm not gonna using the TypeScript. I'll go align with JavaScript. And now I need to run two specific command, npm install, npm run dev. Either you can run npm install or npm I, that's the same thing. And for the other package, you see all the code is available here, and this things also available here how you can align. So I'm going to close that as it's not necessarily needed. So now after installing that, we can run our code. And while it's installing, let's just explore a bit. There is a public directory here where you can keep all the public assets which you want to access publicly. And then we have our source directory. That's the thing, that's the place where we're gonna keep everything, and the node modules where all the node packages is available. Now in the source directory, there is an asset where you can keep your images and other properties. By the way, you can rename this folder also. Then we have our app.jsx and main.jsx. Everything going to be reloaded from the main, as is the mother directory, and from that root, as you see, that will be our particular div, and from that div all things going to be rendered, and that app.jsx going to be handle other properties. So I'm going to run that npm run dev to spin our application. And now there will be several things happening whenever it will be the default application when you're landing, just a default setup which provided by Bits. So now I'm gonna just clean up our project. So in that app, you see that empty curly braces. I'm gonna just remove each and everything, and I will take a main tag. Within the main tag, I'm gonna take a p tag which will say that Firebase login. If I save, you see the Firebase login is available. I'm gonna remove all the unnecessary properties which I'm not using. Okay, remove. And also I'm gonna remove that app.css which I'm not gonna use, as we are going to move to Tailwind CSS. I'm gonna delete that app.css, and in that index.css I'm gonna choose all, and I'm gonna remove each and everything. Now this is my clean setup, a clean project. Let's roll back to Tailwind CSS to install their properties. So from here, click the get started, and with the framework guides, we can follow through to choose the vit. You can say vit, vite, what the pronunciation you're preferring. I'm gonna click on it. Now it's indicating several things. Create your project, which we have been done. We created our project. Now already we are cd within our project. So after did that things, we need to install that properties. So what I will do, I will just take another PowerShell. You can take your git bash, you can use cmd also. Don't worry, all the things it will do the same thing. Just you need to keep your environment set up properly. Now that's the one thing which we are familiar in npm installing that node packages. Now what is that npx? Now this one, whenever you are running that command, means you are giving a read write permission to that command, which it will access my directory here, all the directory. Then it will just simply do one simple thing. It will create one tailwind.config.js file. You can create it manually in your root folder, as you see this is here is created, or you can just go with that command. Now I will just copy that content. I'm gonna replace that content here, and one more initializing. I'm gonna copy that, and in index.css I need to paste it here. And after that I need to, if you go back here, even you reload, it will not be available yet. We need to just kill our terminal, and then we need to run that npm run to spin it again, and then it's gonna take action. So instead of keeping after keeping up, I'm gonna remove everything. So now here, let's try to write some styling. Let's see how Tailwind works. So if you're new to Tailwind, you can roll back to the tailwindcss.com. You can see all the properties here, all the class name is available in the documentation. For me, just follow through, and I'm gonna show you how you can access those. So what I'm gonna do, put a class name. That's the way we are entering the classes. In HTML it's just class, but in React it will be the class name. I'm gonna make that background of gray 950, oops, 950, and text it will be let's just keep gray of 200, and I'm gonna take min height screen. Okay, so now it's just started. Click started. Now whenever I'm typing, as you see, if I just make the text red, you see that prediction is coming, and that one you need to you can access by using that Tailwind CSS CSS IntelliSense, which is a perfect extension to go with that. I think I misspelled the name. Yeah, Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Tailwind, what's wrong with me? Yeah, Tailwind CSS. Yeah, so from here we need to install that one. So that's the extension which is giving empower to go with those properties. Install that and you will get nice little prediction over there. Okay, so now what I will do also, in that source directory, I'm gonna take one more folder, which it will be UI. You can name it as components, but I'll keep as UI. And here I'm gonna write one more file, which will be registration.jsx. and rafce. So now this is a simple React Native snippet command. If you want to use it, you can say at es7 React Native snippet, which is allowing to run that command. And from here, there's a lot of variation is here. You need to just choose whatever which having the major downloaded option and check the parameter here. Okay, so now what we will do, as you can run that command also, and by the way, you can now all of our pages, there are components, it's just a simple function. If you just remove that and create an arrow function, const registration, and I will just create a simple arrow function which having a return, and I'm gonna return and the div and keep that registration, and all like every single thing which going to be having an export default, not debugger, default, which will be registration. See, the same thing it going to align. I'll just go with that rafce. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do in that app over here, I'm gonna keep that registration. Okay, now you can see the registration parameter is available. So in the registration we can do several things, but before going further, I'm gonna create another file which will be login.jsx. so that will be our login file. So now let's roll back to our registration. We will create one state here which is going to be const login set login, and by default, as we were going to use the use state, by default it's going to be false. As you see, it's already auto imported in the top. So now we're gonna write a simple logic which it's going to be if login is available, it will be login. If login available, it will render our login component. If it's not available, it will just simply return a div, or we can just directly go to as the from, as we are going to have nothing else. Then in the from, I'm gonna take a div. Within that div, I will take an h2 tag which going to say registration from. Okay, and I'm gonna just keep a simple style so that you will understand that's the letter. So class name text going to be, let's put LG uppercase, font is going to be semi bold, and then leading going to be 7. After that text, I'm gonna make it as white as possible, so white. So now if I make that login as true, you see login is coming. If I make that registration login as false, means the registration is coming. So with that way, in that way we can toggle through our properties. Okay, so now in the from, we will not take any action, we will just make that on submit. We'll go with the on submit event, and it will be handle registration, and I'm going to define that function in the top, which going to be an arrow function registration. Oh no, it will be handle registration, handle registration, a simple arrow function over here. Right now I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. So now what we need to do is that let's just start with that form, and in that form I'm gonna put some class name which is going to be max width of, let's just put 5 pixel, and mx auto. I'm gonna just make a background of that, by which you're gonna understand what's happening. Just put a background of red color. As you see, it's now getting an entire screen. If we roll back to the top, like in a LG larger screen, you see it's in the middle and having that 5 pixel. What's the 5 pixel size? It is a 1024 pixel or 64 RAM, you can say. So now let's just minimize that, so you know the purpose, what we are going to build, right? So now there is several properties which I'm going to add. Padding top, it will be 10. Padding X, like the horizontal padding, it will be 10, and whenever it's a bigger screen, padding horizontal going to be 0. Now let's roll back to in that div. So in that div, with a class name, I'm gonna introduce a border which going to be in the bottom, and border which will be white if I say, but white is not looking pretty much good in the eyes. So what I'm gonna do, giving it 20% of opacity. You can put as much opacity as you want, and I'm gonna make padding bottom of 5. As you see, it's just pushing that in a bottom layer. So after that h2 tag, which consulting our registration form, I'm gonna introduce one p tag, which will say you need to provide require information to get register with us. Simple. So now let's just style a bit here. Put a class name of text sm, empty will be 1, margin top, and also we're gonna make a leading of 6, and leading is the gap which will be pushed off from the top, and like horizontal gap. If I put access 10, you see how it's changing, and if I put 6, you see that will be giving that gap, how it will just go from that vertical layer. And the text, it will be gray of 400. Okay, so that looks perfect. So now our div is done. So what I'm gonna do, like after passing that layer, now there we're gonna keep other properties, but everything is in a single form, so we can access all the data in a single requirement. So let's just get a div, and within that div I'm gonna take another layer of div. Just see is how it's going to be done. So it will be one more div, and here I'm gonna take a label, and that label I'm gonna just say like first, let's just put first name. So as you see, the first name is appearing. So let's just roll back in the top layer, put a class name again, which is going to be a border b, and border of white of 20% opacity. See the border how it's just eradicating, and the same thing, padding bottom I'm gonna give 5, which is going to be push a bit down. Now in that case, on that div, let's just put a class name empty, margin top will be 5. As you see, it's going to push that things in a down layer. Now we can go with the grid pattern. Several things can be done, several things cannot be done. It just depends on you how you will perform those actions, right? So first I'm gonna make it as grid, and then it will be grid calls of 1 by default, and whenever I'm gonna hit of mg or just put md, grid calls of, I'm gonna keep it as 6, so we can go with or grid calls of 2, okay, when it's gonna reach in the bigger screen. And I'm gonna put a gap in x-axis, which going to be, let's just keep it 6 and not the 5, it will be 6, and gap in y, it will be gap in y, which will be 6, and then I think that much will be enough. So that is one div. Now here the div is so here I'm gonna put a class name, which is going to be, or right now I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. So I will not put any class name here. Okay, and after aligning with that level, I'm gonna introduce one input from, so it will be an input field, and that input field going to give us the name parameter and other properties. So now the type is just getting as text, and then name, which will be providing as first name. And now let's introduce some class name to it to make it looks better. You see, that's the one which we created. So how we can do is that, let's just say put a class name of that block, which going to be full, and then around it going to be md. Okay, as you see, as it make the block, it will just go in a bottom layer, and then I'm gonna put a border of 0, so means it will be handling no border, and then bj of white, and I'm gonna give a 5% of opacity, so that either you can go with the 10, you can give a nice looks, but 5 is working for me. And then padding y should be 1.5, and then text going to be white text should be implemented, and shadow going to be a small shadow, ring going to be 1. Now what is the ring actually? If you just hover over here, as you see, that's the ring, is the offset opacity is providing. Same like it will work as an outline. As you see, there is an outline, but as we are introducing the ring, so we're gonna make that, I'll just not going to use that outline, so which is going to be none. If I click, you see no outline is implementing here. So now the ring is there, so the ring, it will be inset, and then ring going to be white, and I'm gonna go with that 20% opacity, or just keep the 10 so it will not collapse with that our border. And when we focus within the application, first ring is 1, and what is the 1? If you hover there, 1 is just coming with that, but when we are just going to just focus on that, ring going to be 2, and focus, and by default ring is offset, so it inset, so it will be in the inset, and whenever we gonna to focus ring, it will be indigo of 500. It's a kind of blue, so if we click here, as you see, it's coming. Okay, that's cool. And after that, let's just put text should be sm leading going to be 6, and padding x going to be 4, just to keep it quite okay, as you see. Cool. Now that's working. I think that's the parameter we need to follow. And also we can just put one more properties, margin top we can keep 2, just to make it look perfect. Okay, you see, now it looks good. So now what else we can do more is that's the div. So now what we are going to do, this is the label we are using, so that label going to be used overall all the places. So I will take a label.jsx, a simple component, rafce, and here I'm gonna get that label to pass it all the data. So I'm gonna cut that label here, and I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, that will be our label here. So now if we go here, let's just get that label. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do to put that title, which is going to be, just give that first name. Okay, that will be our label name. So over here we're gonna get that label title, and also we'll get that HTML4. So this one, if we just keep it like putting nothing here, just putting an empty, you see, no more first name. But what if we are putting that our title? So title, and you see first name is available, and HTML4, which going to be the HTML4 which we are providing. So if we just roll back here, okay, I'm gonna redo it because that's the HTML4 we are going to pass, and the HTML4 it will just pass that of first name. Okay, that's the HTML4. So in the label we're gonna just modify a bit, just putting a little bit of style here, style, which going to be block, and text going to be small text, and font going to be medium. Okay, font medium, and leading going to be 6. Text is coming, it should be white. Okay, so that's the label we're gonna use for all the things. So now that's the one properties, so this is the one of that. So I'm gonna just copy paste another one, which going to clear for the several thing. So now that's for our first name, this is should be for our last name, and HTML4 it's going to render for the last name, and the name going to be last name. Okay, so first name, last name, but the problem is here, if we go, okay, that's cool, it's taking it, it's biting the thing. So now it's just whenever we are hitting in the bigger screen, it's just getting for the full form, but other screen, that looks cool. So now what we will do is that let's just create several properties. So as you see now, what you can mark it here, you can go with the name properties to define which one is what. So in that implementation, as we are having the first name, last name, then we will also going to having our email and password. So I'm gonna just copy twice, 2, 3. Okay, now that's the last name, I believe. Okay, now we need to just go a bit tedious here because it's the several things which we are providing. I'm gonna just okay, make it in that way. So then it will be email. Okay, email is there, and HTML4 email, and then the last name it will be for email. Okay, that's cool, and type it will be for email. Now you can also generate one input field like the way I generate the label field, you can also go with that individual input field, but it's up to you. I will just, for this one, I will just keep it as simple as possible. And here within that last name, it will be our password. So it will be following through password, and I'm gonna copy it, put the text will be, type will be password, name will be password. So as you see, that looks perfectly okay. If I go here, now these things we don't want, right? So now individually we can access that. So what we gonna do in that div, put a class name. So I'm gonna make that call span. So whenever it gonna reach an empty screen, call span should be 2. Okay, in that way it's gonna take that overall spaces. Now you can keep it 3, 4 and other properties, but yeah, that's fine. So now you can align it more bigger and smaller, that up to you. Just attach with the grid and it will save all the purposes. Okay, so now that's our password and that's our email. So after that particular layer of div, we need to introduce one more separate thing, is that. So in that layer, I'm gonna catch one more div, and here let's just put a class name, which going to be class name. Let's put a call span full, so it will take overall the column properties. Either you are giving 4 or 5 grid, it will take overall properties. And now what I'm gonna do, take another div. Within that div, I'm gonna take one more div, and then I'm gonna generate our label. That label going to title, which going to be taking as title of cover photo. So here we're gonna generate our cover photo, which is going to be an uploading our photo. So now let's just roll back on that div. Let's put a class name. Okay, it's just made a spell with that, it will be here. So put a class name, which is going to be margin top going to be 2, flex item should be center, and gap x-axis going to be 3. Okay, now after that layer, also in that div, put a class name. I'm gonna just make it a flex 1, so it will take all the available properties. Now after below that level, I'm gonna take 2 more div. So first div, which is going to be implemented for that, it will not do several things, but just put a class name, and also margin top going to be 2, just to align with that. And then we can do is that, okay, we will make flex and then item center, justify center, and here I'm gonna make that border, and border it will be dashed. As you see, that's the border is coming, and padding y should be 4 and padding x should be 6. Okay, rounded should be LG, and then the border it will be white with that 20% opacity. Okay, now it's just looking perfect on that. Okay, so now okay, that's our div layer. Okay, so okay, that's cool. So I believe I'm not gonna use that div right now, so I'm just gonna go within that div. Okay, so we are now inside on that. So here I'm gonna take one more div here. Okay, div. Then I need to get one photo icon, which I'm gonna use here. So to get the icon, I'm gonna use that hero icons react. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna make that npm I, which will be hero icons react. So that's the icon that's the library we're gonna use to get our icons. So from that hero icon, as you see, I am having right now, I am within that div. So here I can get my icon. So just okay, so first I'm gonna go over here, put a class name, yeah, class name, and I'm gonna give a width of 14 and height of 14 for that image. I'm gonna make a border, and I'm gonna make that border of gray 600, just to see how it looks. Not so amber, it will be not border right, also it will be gray of 600, and rounded should be full. Okay, and padding should be 1. Okay, so now that's the border. So here I'm gonna take my icon, so it will be photo icon. So now, as it's not providing me that the instances for auto importing, I will just roll back to my top. Here I'm gonna import it, so it will be import photo icon, and it will be from at, it's going to be provide that. Okay, it's not providing that implication also, so it will be from that hero icons react. Okay, I'm gonna copy that, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna paste it here. Save. Right now I will not be able to see any of the icons because it's I need to provide some of the okay, it's just pop, okay. So now for that icons, let's just put a class name which going to be mx auto. So it should be in the middle, height will be full, weight will be full, the parent height weight it will provide, and text will be gray of 500, not 50, it will be 500. Okay, and also we can put the one more properties, area hidden, which going to be okay, area hidden, which going to be true. So after below that icon, we can provide several properties. So as this is this should be aligned with the icon, so just keep that icon as it is right now. We can also make so many other things, but I will make one more possibilities there. I'm gonna wrap that divs within another div because we're gonna badly needing that one later. So now this is the photo icon here, so I'm gonna just keep that one as independent, and below here I'm gonna take one more div, and then I'm gonna generate a label which going to be that label. We're gonna make that for file upload. I'm gonna just take the default label here, and I'm gonna take an span tag which will say upload a file. As you see, upload a file is available. And also after that span tag, I'm gonna take one input field which will generate that for the type, it will be file, and then name, it will be file upload, and also ID, which going to be file upload. Okay, so you see that's the properties available here. But what I'm gonna do, see, I took a div here which I did nothing yet, so let's put some class name which going to be, I'm gonna make that overall the text which going to be coming in the central line, flex, it should be in the column. See, everything it will be aligning in the column, and I'm gonna make that item center, so all the properties is going to be middle. This is not coming in a good way, so what I'm gonna do in my top layer, let's just go in the top, put a class name, padding bottom, I'm gonna keep it like 32, just to so that I can keep that in top. Okay, later on I'll remove that. Okay, so now we are right now here. Okay, so that will be the input field. So as you see, if we click here, it will just coming to upload the file. But now what I'm gonna do is that this file, it will not be available to see, so I'm gonna make that one as class name, which going to be sr only. And what is doing it, if you just hovering over here, position absolute wide one hides, basically it's just hiding that. So it's, if you want to hide something within the screen, so only for the screen readability here, so people will not see but screen can be read. See, if you click, it's still there. And it will handle one more properties, on change, which it will be on change, which will handle avatar. So whenever we are passing one images, it will handle by itself. So let's go in the top layer. Before passing the registration, I'm gonna pass that avatar also, and the similar way it will be an array function. Right now it will be just empty. Okay, now that handle avatar is working. So after that, the label is done. Now here I'm gonna take a p tag or drag and drop that text, and that text it will go with the class name padding left going to be 1. And after that, another, let's just come back finishing that div. I'm gonna take another p tag which will say PNG, JPG, it will be, let's say, GIF, GIF, up to 10 megabytes. So now we can go with several properties. As you may see, we are having an upload file label here. So in that div, put a class name which going to be margin top of 4, just to rationally getting a little bit down. Flex, item center, as you see, getting together, very nice. And now what I'm gonna do is that margin bottom going to be 1 and text going to be small text, leading going to be 6, and after that text should be gray of 400. Okay, looks cool. Now on that particular level, we can just put some of the class name. Okay, put some class name, which going to be relative, as is SR only. It's an absolute positioning is there. Cursor should be pointer, rounded going to be, okay, rounded going to be MD, so it will be the medium rounding. And padding X going to be 2, padding Y going to be 1, BJ it will be gray of 900. As you see, there is a background here. If we keep it 600, you can see we can keep it 600 or 800, so it will be more visible. So that just keeping the design in the line. Okay, now what we are going to do is that font it will be semi bold. Let's just put text of gray of 200. By default is going to get that gray 200, and so outline should be none. It will not be, and that none, so ring should be 1. Okay, you see that ring, and whenever we're gonna make that focus, and it will be within, so whenever we're gonna focus within it, ring should be 2. As you see, if we focus, yeah, you see, it's just getting the ring. Okay, so we can just make one more properties here, then we are done. And now what we'll do, hover BJ going to be gray of 900, just to see. As you see, okay, done. So nothing fancy yet. Now what we'll do, let's roll back to our p tag. Below that div, put a class name which going to be text going to be extra small, put xs extra small, leading going to be 5, and then text going to be gray of 400. Okay, cool. Now we need to do several properties which going to be the from, so this will be here, that's the from. So we use so many div. So before finishing the div, we will introduce our button properties. So this button, it will land us to make that sent. As you see, that's the button in that root layer. So this button, or we can, if we keep it in the top layer, okay, yeah, we can keep it here also. Let's just try with it this way. So let's just put a class name, and that class name it will be margin top going to be 5, and then BJ it will be indigo of 700. As you see, okay, cool. Width going to be full, padding Y going to be 2. Okay, looks cool. And then the text should be uppercase. Text will be the base text we are providing. Font it will be bold, and then tracking should be wide, and the tracking properties is that gapping between each and every letter. If I put the tracking tight, you see it's coming closer. If I make wide or wider, so wider is just spreading it, so I'll just keep it wide. And then rounded should be MD. Okay, and then first the text should be gray of 300. So now it's going to take the action. Rounded should be MD, and whenever I'm gonna hover, okay, we already provided the rounding parameter. Whenever we hover, text should be white. Okay, whenever we hover, background color should be indigo of 600, and the duration will encompass of 200. And whenever we are hitting on that button, the type should be submit. As you see, if we click, it's submitting our entire form. So that's the action we'll provide. Don't worry, we're gonna remove that by default parameter. If we make it bigger, you see that's looks cool. So now there will be another parameter is just in the top of that, which we're gonna pass that error message will go here. So we're gonna pass that error message here. So okay, here Now for that error message, we're gonna also put some properties. So it will be margin top going to be 5 just to come in line, and bj should be white, and white of that 90% opacity. Text going to be red of 600. Text it will be center. Okay, padding y should be 1 and rounded again MD, and tracking should be white again, and font let's just keep as semi-bold. As you see, that's the error message we're gonna provide. If you want to make it more like, you can just make it as the way you prefer, but for me 800 or 900 it will just save the purpose. You can choose as much as possible. Right now it will say we can see it always, but later on, once we are uploading the condition, we can see only whenever is available. So that's the form we finish here right now. So this form, now we need to introduce a div here before the form, because there is another text which we need to provide. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just wrapping that form within another div. You can just either keep an empty braces, so it will also do the same thing. So after that form, we're gonna take a p tag which going to say already have an account. What is going to happen, it's gonna give a button, or right now we're gonna keep a button, then we're gonna change it later on, and then it's gonna say login. Now in that p tag, we'll just make some action with a class name which going to be text sm, leading should be 6, and then text it will be gray of 400, and then text should be in center, not the clip, it will be center, padding y should be 6. Okay, looks cool. And for the button, let's just make some style here. The text should be gray of 200. Okay, and font it would be semi bold, and it will be underline offset should be 2, and the decoration which going to give the height of our underline proportion, which I'm gonna keep it 1 pixel, and hover text should be white, and the duration should be 200. Now I'm gonna keep an one click event, so whenever we're gonna click it here, we're gonna just write an arrow function, set loading should be true. So it means our loading properties it will available. If I click, you see the login screen is right now available. So let's roll back to our login screen. The same properties we're gonna just grab it from here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this entire form or entire div properties. Okay, then we're gonna extract what we need, what we do not need. So now that's the properties, just save it, just align it. Okay, we missed something, of course, which going to be, we need to import our label. Okay, let's just import the label, and we will just rewrite our application, as you see, which is saying what is that? Oh, we didn't write any function, that's why it's not giving the error. Okay, right now we will do several properties. So instead of that registration, it will say something else, which is going to be sign in. Okay, let's just roll back to our login. Still it's not coming because that handle registration we need to define. So it will be handle login, and we will define it here. Should be handle login. Oops, it will be in const handle login. It will be similar an arrow function, and right now it will be an empty spaces. And one more properties we need to provide, but before providing it, let's just delete some which is we are not needing. So as you see, that's the label for the first name and for the last name, which we are not requiring. I'm going to remove that, and that will be for that image parameter which we are not needing. I'm going to remove that. And one more thing we need to require is that instead of send, I'm gonna just click that login, and here okay, should be saying that does not have an account, it will be register, and it will be making us false. And this, remember that login, we need to pass it from our parent layer in the registration where we define the login. We're gonna just make a set login. We will pass that set login from here, and over there we're gonna take is within the properties, so it will be within the props, which going to come up as set login. So now if we go in the login, as you see the login is available, go in the register is available, login, the login is available. So now for the sign in, we need to just change that some of the text here, so it will be for the sign in, and then we will say please sign in to continue. You can keep it sign in or you can keep it login, it's just up to you. So now we have been done our registration and login parameter. So now we need to go with several properties, but before going to just go around, we will need to accumulate our registration data. As you may remember, what we did, we extracting the data as our in the like the name. We see all the properties having a name, so the first name, the last name. So now we are going to extract our data like a from parameter. So let's roll back to our handle registration. Here we're gonna do the things first, we're gonna do that, then we're gonna go with that other properties. So now what we're gonna do is that let's just go to define some of the properties here. Then it will go two more properties, which, so we are defining one state, it will be altogether 4 state. One should be for loading, set loading. One is for login, which we already worked right now. Then it will be for the error message. Then it will be for the setting the avatar, and avatar it will be coming with the file, which going to be as by default null. URL should be empty. When we're gonna set that thing's going to work, and we're gonna set it here, right? And how we gonna set? So here we are going to just write a simple function parameter. First, let's go to take the event, and what we're gonna do, if e dot target dot, or first we just gonna lock that e. So let's see what we're gonna just getting that. So it will be our event, and that event is coming for our avatar. I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger. Let's go in our registration console. So just okay, let's see if any error is coming. No. Okay, so now let's roll back to register. Okay, wait, did we make it as true? Yeah, by default we're gonna right now keep it as false. So we're gonna upload an image. Let's just go with that image, and as you see in that image, we are just getting one more thing, is that in the target we are getting should be somewhere is written here will be files. Yeah, now you see there is the file name, and there is the file like type and other properties is available. So from the file we need to access those parameters which will indicate that all the properties should be aligned. So e.target.files, that's the files we need to extract from here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just simply create that instances. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm gonna create the simple instances. Is that what it's going to do? It's gonna do if target dot files. So means whenever it gonna having that files, if it doesn't have, it will do nothing. So I'm gonna make the set avatar, and that avatar going to set as that the file should be that e dot target dot files. Okay, and the 0 index, whatever file is available, so that will be the file. And then we're gonna set the URL, and that URL should be extracting as a URL dot create object URL, and that object should be the similar parameter which we are going to access. So I'm gonna just give that. Okay, it's saved. So now in that registration, what I'm gonna do, first thing first, if I click in the send, as you see it's refreshing, we need to stop that. So I'll take the e parameter, and it should be e dot prevent default. So it will remove all the default parameter. If I click send, see now no more loading. And just now put that logged should be avatar. Let's see if we can see any of the avatar is available. Also we are inspecting, go in the console, and now we select a file, select an image. Let's open. Did we have that? No, we didn't get that. Okay, what we missed? Handle avatar should be available. Okay, try one more time. I'm gonna just remove everything. Okay, we are in the console. Yeah, now it's saying it just sometimes the caching is not working. So now we are having that our file and we are having our URL. So as we are having that URL, we can render that URL somewhere, right? So as you see, remember previously we are having our photo icon here. So we can just go and say, instead of keeping that photo icon, we can write a condition here which is going to render the parameter properly. We're gonna say if avatar dot URL, so means the avatar URL, if it's there, then it gonna keep something, others it gonna keep something. Right now both are going to coming as that photo icon, but if photo avatar is there, I'm gonna take it as image icon is there. The source going to be our avatar dot just say avatar.url, I believe, yes, and that will be profile image, and the class name should be weight will be full and height going to be full, and then rounded should be full. Object, let's just keep cover. Okay, as you see, our image is appearing. So that will be the concept to create all the properties. So all align properties should be go with that. So now let's roll back to there and get our from data to access all other parameters so that we can get our login. So now I'm going to remove other parameters. So now what we're going to do, we're going to make that const loading should be true. Once it's just heading on that, whenever we're going to click here, loading should be applicable. And now we're going to extract the from data, which going to be const from data, which will be new, and then we're going to pass that from data, and it will be that from data need to get that e.target. Now we need to extract the from data because normally we cannot get that from data altogether. So what is there we know, so it should be first name, last name, email, password. So that's the properties it's providing from there, and it would become So how can you get that? As you see in that here, you can just search that Firebase console, and from there you can just go on their console website. You need to log in with your account, then you just make that. After logged in, you will that go to console button, it will be available. Once you click on it, it will take us to here whatever I am right now. And now I will open a new project. So click a new project, should be just make that test app. It's just for the login, I'll just keep it as test app. So continue. I will not enable that analytics as just for the test purposes, no need to implement that. Okay, it's created. Let's click on continue. So now you just need to follow through some of the properties, be free and adjust to follow it properly, otherwise you may have going to have some trouble. So what the courses I'm gonna follow, you need to go with that. So as you see, that's the button for web. I'm gonna click here. Now I need to register my app. So the name first I was provided, I'm gonna give the same name, which is going to be the test app, and I'm gonna register my application. And after registering, it's gonna provide me whatever the SDK I need to install, and it will give us all the properties. First I need to install that. So let's go in my application layer. Here I need to install Firebase, and after installing, what I'm gonna do, in my source folder, like source directory, I'm gonna take another directory which will be my lib, where I'm gonna keep all my library together. So there will be for that Firebase setup, firebase.js, and from this here I'm gonna copy each and everything, I'm gonna paste it. Okay, so now there should be an error with the Firebase which is going to be gone after installing. So now I need to create several properties. As you see, is const, I need to just go with export. So now before setting that, I will continue to console because I need to implement whatever the things I need to use. As you see right now, I have nothing here on that. So from the build, I will first initialize my authentication parameter. As you see the project shortcuts, I have my authentication. let's just click on get started. Okay, so now from here I will access that email and password which will be enabled. Now email link, I'm not gonna keeping it that. You can go with that, make explore a bit, it will be fine. So that's for my authentication. Then I will take that firestore database, that database where I'm gonna store my data, all the single parameters of data it gonna align here. So for creating that database and other properties, it may need have some time according to your internet connection, but feel free to wait a bit and create. And I will not go with the production rate as it's a test flight, so I will just go with the test. So within 30 days anyone can just send and edit the data in my database with the credential, of course. So now after creating that database, one more properties which will be required, because the file, the images, we are not directly injecting the images in our database, we are injecting the URL of database, URL of images. So from the build I will take the storage properties and I will get started. Again, it's the test flight and continue. Done. So now it will be give us the properties to enable the storage, to use the storage from the firestore. So now as I have the app, also I need to export this for the auth, which will be get auth function, and that we need to import from the Firebase. And after that also we need to get that export const, which going to be db, and first, and that one also coming from that get Firebase, not Firebase, I think get firestore, yeah, get firestore, yes, firestore. And that auth, why is not coming? Let's just try to, okay, firestore auth, and also it will be const storage, which going to be get storage from storage. As you see, this all are implementing here, get storage, get firestore, get auth. So all properties is aligned here, so now we can use it. And one more things we need to submit right now to initialize Zustand in our application. There is a short video in my, and it will find you somewhere. I will provide the link in the description. So now here you will see how we can initialize Zustand is in a very simple manner. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna initialize it also in my application. So first let's just go in their documentation, or we can do simple is that first I need to install npm I, which will be Zustand, I believe that's the name. Okay, Zustand, yeah, let's just copy that. Okay, first we need to install, then we need to create our store. So you can go with the documentation to read properly and see all the access of data, but for me I will just feel free to follow through with that. I'm gonna just install, okay, it's duplicated, so install Zustand, and in the leave I'm gonna take one more properties, which going to be my store.js. Here I'm gonna keep my store, so that will be creating all the properties. So now from the store I'm gonna provide something which going to be, I need to create my store, so it will be export const store, and I'm gonna use that create from the Zustand, and it will be set formula, and from that set let's just say I'm gonna passing an object, and from there I'm gonna make that as current user, which by default it will be null, and is loading should be true. So means first the current user it will be null, and is loading, if there is loading it should be true. So now we will need to write one function which will be get user. So with that we're gonna get that user, which going to be also assign function, and we need to pass the UID, and that UID should be coming from, it will be just coming as a parameter, but we'll get the UID from our user. So now if there will be no UID, so if there is no UID it should be return, and that return also okay, return, and then we need to set, which going to be that current user, which will be null, and is loading should be false. So means if there is no UID, so that UID should be there is no user, then it giving us null information, so it will return and giving the similar basic parameter. And then we're gonna write that const docref. Oops, it was just coming with the properties. Document ref. So that reference, it will coming from the reference of document, which going to coming from the firestore. And within the document, we're gonna access our DB, so which is going to be accessing our database. So in the DB, we're gonna see for the users, and that users, we're gonna just pass that UID and follow through with that. So now we need to also get our DB, which going to be coming from, okay, not giving that, so let's just import it. So import DB from, okay, it will be from Firebase. So now we have our docref, which is coming alongside with UID, and that const doc snap, so it will get a snapshot of our document, and it will be await, so it will be get document from Firebase. As you see, all are coming. I think Zustand and that get document. No, it's coming the get database. No, it should be get document. Yeah. So as you see now, it's together too. Yeah. Get document, and it will provide that docref. So what we are actually doing within that get document function, we are referring that our doc reference. So we are getting that our user. So now when we are going to have the user, we're gonna make a try catch, and on the catch we're gonna refer something. We're gonna just log our error, so it will be like get user error, and here we're gonna console our error, and also we're gonna make that return, and which going to be just, we're gonna set the similar properties. So I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna, oops, it will be similar parameter. Now what if we have the user? What then it going to be happen? So if I have the user, like if then doc snap, so the document snapshot is exist, then we're gonna return something which going to be passing as user. So it will be set, and that set, it will be the current it will be current user. That user going to be doc snap, and then it will be access the data which is coming, and is loading should be false. So we are setting our user, and then we are falsing that. And also if nothing, like if we have it just for a measure, because it will go for the fallback, but better to keep in else. So if else nothing is there, keep the user as together, and by default once everything is not happening, then also is loading should be, just make that, or we can just go with that set wrapper also, set wrapper, or it's out of the boundary. So okay, we'll just keep it like that. So that's our state, so that's our store here, and also we are having our firestore, the Firebase, and we need to just confirm one more parameter, is that upload, and that upload is going to be just coming with a function. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just popping that things here, because it's just a simple function with the similar properties. What is actually is going what is going to do is that is accessing going to our uploading the image, where we are getting the data, and the stores reference where we are saving the data as images, same like we are saving data users. Then we are making that upload text event, and then we are just going to that snap, and then we are seeing the progress, how is uploading and how many percentage is uploading. And if it's success, we're getting the download URL. It's just simple thing. You can search how you can set the URL setup. And if you're still having that upload problem, let me know in the comments below. I will just go through with that just a little bit so you can see the code. Okay, the one thing is for just to having you test, you can go with that. So now our upload property done, store done. Let's just roll back to our registration. I'm gonna just make it align. So first we need to create our application, and one more things we need to go with that. In the app we need to set our properties. How we can set? So first to get that things done, I'm gonna also install one more properties which will give us that spinner tag. So I'm gonna make npm I, which will be react loader spinner we're gonna use. So now I need to access my store. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get that current user, and then we're gonna get is loading, and then we're gonna make that get user, and all properties going to coming from our store. Okay, and we need to import our store also. Why is not coming by default? Store, no, it's not coming. Okay, import should be let's say store from live and store. Okay, so now we can see what we are having. If we make that just a simple log, okay, we will say just to see our store what we are having. So let's just log the current user is loading and that get user, all three properties. If we make a little bit bigger, okay, as you see, store current user is null, loading is true, async is that the function is that sync function which is just returning that function. Okay, so means we can store we can access our store. So now I will take another parameter, another UI, which will say us that, let's just put that what you can call that, profile.jsx. so here we can keep our user profile. So now we will write our condition. So now if there is loading is available, so means that when is loading is coming, we're gonna return something, return, and that return going to be passing within a tag, and it will be a div. Then that div is going to say just that repeat tag loading. Okay, so that, as you see, that loading parameter is already activated. If we go here, okay, that's working. So by default the loading parameter is coming. So let's roll back to our store, and what I'm gonna do is that if nothing is happening after the after everything is done, what we're gonna do is that is loading should be false. Okay, so you're just falsing that is loading parameter when we have nothing to do with that. Okay, so now let's just head back to our app, and here when the loading is just coming on that action, in that div put a class name. We're gonna make that mean height of screen, and let's just say mean width of full. So just mean, not need to put that mean width should be full, and then bj it will be gray of 900, and text should be white, text it will be white, and then text would be Excel, and flex should be flex, item center, justify center, gap should be 5. Okay, now after that loading I will just make one more properties here, which we are going to use that spinner tag for the, okay, which going to coming from there. If I go to store and just make that one unavailable, okay, as you see, that's the spinner which going to run there. Okay, that's the things which we are implementing. And also we can do one more thing, is that we can make that as a flex of column. Okay, it depends on you. You can keep it like that, you can keep it also like that, however the way you make it possibly done. It's just simple. I'm not gonna keep that gap. Okay, and here let's just write that class name empty should be 1, text should be LG, font semi bold, and tracking should be white, or just put empty 2. Okay, so now that is store. Okay, cool. So now let's roll back to our app to write the other condition. So now as you see, we can get our user. So how we can get? We will check always if the user is available or not, and to do that we will create a function which will be sub and unsub. So now let's just go here. We will take a function which will be unsubscription, and it will be on auth state change that will be coming from the Firebase, and it will always go with the auth. It will check the auth if we have the user. So if user is available, then it's gonna return something. Then what it gonna return it will return an arrow function which going to be on sub. So it will return the functions, and it will always change whenever the get user it going to be calling current user. It just write that whenever the get user going to be called, it will be checked with that. Okay, that fetch user. Okay, so whenever we are having that user, did I miss something? So it will take the user. Yeah, before returning we need to get the function. So okay, I misspelled that. Return should be in the bottom layer, because now I need to define my user parameter. So it will be get user, and that should be coming from user.uid whenever the id parameter is available. Let's just reload. Let's see what's the problem with that. Okay, I will just remove the cache and try again. Okay, what's it saying? It's saying auth is not defined. Means you see that auth is not imported. We need to import the auth. Okay, that's it. So now we can easily get our user. So here we're gonna write a condition. What's the condition? It will be if that current user is available, it will give the profile. So the profile it will be available, otherwise it will give us the registration. And in the profile we will hit back the current user as our current user. And also in the profile we can check whatever the current, we can just copy that. Whatever we are having that current user, we can access it here. Just put a log where you can say current user. Okay, so now it's the time to implement that our other properties, which going to be getting all the things should be done in our level. So in the registration form, as you see, now we are good to go to implement all other properties. So here what we are going to do is that after passing that object parameter, now we can access the other things. So I'm gonna make that a try catch, and in the catch parameter we'll just go with set some error messages. You can go with that, you can go with several portion, but I'm gonna just go with that in all together. What we are doing it here in that catch parameter, we are getting that error messages as just a variable, and we are using a switch case error.code that's coming from the Firebase. If the case is coming at auth invalid email, we are passing that please enter a valid email. For that missing password, enter a password. Already if the user is exist, this email is already in use, try another email. You can add more, and by default an error occurs, please try again. Then we are setting our error message. Now let's with the try what is going to happen. So we're gonna make that const to response, and that response we need to await with that. And as we are saying at await, we need to make it as async. Now why we need to await? Because we're gonna connect a database here for the Firebase. Now it will be create user with email and password. So that's the thing it will okay, what's wrong with that? Create user with email and password, and here we're gonna provide our auth, we're gonna provide our email, we're gonna provide our password, and after providing it will do an action. So what's wrong it does? Okay, we define the async in a different manner. It should not be in the registration, it should be in the file here. That was the mistake only. So now okay, await are only allowed within the assign function. Did we? Yeah, that's the registration we are providing. So it's already in that layer. Okay, error is gone. So now that response is going to catch our user, which we are going to having that. And now let's image URL should be by default should be null, or you can put an empty. Now if avatar is there and so we are just going to cross check if avatar is there and avatar.file is available, only then we're gonna just going to make that image URL. So it will be that like image URL equal to, it should be await, and then upload image should be upload image. Why is not giving that auto import? No suggestion is coming. Let's just go with that our upload. Okay, which, yeah, we use that one, so it will be just the same name, upload image, and on that image we're gonna pass that avatar dot file. Okay, so now we need to import that upload image in top layer, so it will be import upload image. No, it should not be that. It should be our upload image function. Or okay, it's because it will be, we need to make that upload image from that lib folder. Okay, so now as you see, we are going to have that. I think it will be this portion. Okay, now we should be able to see an upload image. Now we are going to have all together all the properties, because we are getting the response for the authentication, means for our user, and then we can get our image URL also. So now what we can do is that save user in database, okay, which is going to be the firestore. So now await, you can just make in a constant and then logged in, but I will not go with that. We'll just make that set doc, need to import each and everything, which is going to be the doc, and from the doc it will set us in the users and response.user.uid. so whatever the response is gonna come back from there. And after that, okay, I misspell again. So await doc, it should be okay. We didn't pass our dv. Yeah, that's the wrong thing. So after the documentation, after the doc, we need to get another parameter, so the dv, and within that dv we need to get that. Within the dv we need to access the users, then that user is going to coming with that parameter. And what we want to store there, we will store the first name, we will store the last name, we will store our email, and then we will go with that our password. Now you can keep it, you can hash it. If you don't keep the similar parameter to you, depend on you, okay, and it will be image URL. Okay, so now that should be done, and if successfully that one is done, we should make that set loading as okay, it's the set loading. I think we made the set loading in the top layer, which is going to be true. Okay, we can get it here, and then we can keep it here, and after the else catch condition we can make a one finally. So in the finally, we'll just make that set loading as false. So what it's going to do, it's going to upload our all the things in our database if everything is looking properly, working properly. And here we need to do one more properties, which going to eradicate for our error. Let's go back there in that bottom layer where we keep that error. Okay, I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, that's the error message. So here we're gonna write a condition which is going to be if error message is available, only then the error message will pop up. So if we just save, you'll see the manual error is like no more, so we can just go through with that. So it will be very easy and simply get all the things done. And also we can write one more properties, is that we're gonna get that, and here we're gonna write a condition. If it's the loading is available, then it gonna pass the text which simply loading, and otherwise it will just get that properties as sent. So now what it will happen right now, we just keep every single things as pretty as possible. So we will, okay, set loading is available, okay, image URL is available. Okay, so what we did, okay, set loading true, and if everything is done, we will make one more thing which going to be set login, which going to be true. So means if we just having that a user is logged in properly, we will keep it the if user is created properly, registration is done, then we're gonna access that our other parameter. So it's the moment of truth. Let's just try to go with that. Let's see if our authentication is, you see, please enter a valid email. If we just roll back here, you see the auth invalid email, which is coming from here in that case. So that's our error message. That's the way you can extract from there. So now let's try to create a user. I'm gonna go with the actual name and other properties. Okay, and password, keep a password, we'll upload a file. And now let's try send. You see the loading is happening and it's going to upload. It's uploading the images. Upload is done, and you can do it before if you want, but at the same time you can do also. You see we are now in the login screen, and if you roll back to our app, if we reload here in the Firebase console, we should be able to see our users. So if we go in the authentication, one user is available in the firestore database. We should be able to see our user data also, which is going to be occurring like that. So that's the firestore database, and that's our user. And in this storage we should be able to see one image also. So let's click on the image. That's the image. So let's roll back there. Now we're gonna create the login instances as we done the registration. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take several properties from here. I'm gonna just grab that I believe that loading and error messages. So let's go in that login. I'm gonna close store, and here I'm gonna take that, and from the registration I will take that from data, which I'm going to extract also. So okay, and I need to take the event from here, and as you see I'm not requiring that first name and last name. Now after extracting that, okay, what we did wrong, did we get that we need to import that UG-state from React. Okay, what's wrong? Okay, it's just I think is some of the caching is happening. That's the problem was happening from the caching. I'm gonna remove the caching, because previously when I used to create that, I will create one more user which going to be John, and then I will go with that, and just let's see now how it's working. Okay, uploading, everything should be working in a proper manner, and we should be able to see our login instances is working. Okay, so now what we are going to do is that we will now having that login instances. Now we will similarly create a try catch parameter here. So let's see, in the below that we will make that try catch, and in the error properties, the similar properties which we have been done for our error in that registration, we're gonna pop up with that. You see the set message error gonna set, and it will just capture all the error code which going for the wrong password, invalid email. You can just go through with that, and in the finally, which going to give us that set loading should be false. And now what's we gonna do with that? In that catch block, we're gonna make that set loading as it should be true, and after set loading we're gonna create a sign-in authentication. So it should be await. We can save that if you want, so I'll just go with that sign in with email and password. As you see, we are making it async function, so we need await, so we need to make that async function, and here we need to define that sign in should be sign in with email and password, which need to import from Firebase. And over here I'm gonna pass my auth, I'm gonna pass my email, I'm gonna pass my password, and that's it. So it will go with that. And for the error messages, remember in the registration what we did, we will just copy that portion and we're gonna just land it there. So where is that error we keep? It's very much bottom, so I'm gonna just copy that, and in that login error, okay, I'm gonna paste it here. And one more properties for the button, I'm gonna just keep it also, and okay, should be not send, should be login. So now we can go with the login and other parameters. So let's try john@gmail.com and try that login. So now it's gonna load and creating the instances for login. As you see, it's already created. Now I am having my user here. Okay, if you see the console, okay, so now you can see my avatar, email, first name, last name, and password. Again, I'm saying if you don't want to keep the password, it depends on you, don't keep, but I'm just to show you, I'm just keeping that. So now let's just make some design for the profile. So what's it going to be do is that one more div, then I'm gonna take another div, so 2 div it will be there, then h2 tag which will say welcome there, and welcome back there, span tag which will give us that current user dot first name, and here I'm gonna give a space, and then you can go with the backtick without going like that. You can go in the, like, you can make that and put a backtick, then current user dot first name, then here is space, then one more user should be current user dot last name. You see that is coming. So as we know the properties, I'm gonna just close the console and I'm gonna close that also. So now what I'm gonna do in that particular layer, it's all are coming for the class name and other parameter, nothing fancy. Let's just go and grab that, and that's the class name, it will be this. And for the other parameter, so this layer of the div, I'm gonna go with that class name, and for that parameter just creating that designing thing. So that's it. So as you see, that's the things which we created right now. So now for the h2 tag, that will be there, and one more parameter I'm gonna go and give it back. It's just to create that styling sheet. So in here I'm gonna pass that. So that's just creating that thing. So it's just creating a circle, an SVG. So it's just you can go and try this code. It's all code are available here. You can try and make it happen, because if I explain it will the video, it will be much more longer. And if you're having any problem understanding that, please let me know in the comments below, and please to like the video and give the subscription. So now for the h2 tag, make some of that. I'll just go again with the defining those portion, as it's just going to be simple parameter, and that's it. So welcome back to your John Doe. You see, that's cool. Okay, and after that h2 tag, let's just generate one p tag which I'm going to lorem 30. Okay, just passing some of that text with some class name. Amex should be auto, and let's give that margin top should be 4, max width should be Excel, and then text should be LG. Okay, leading should be 8, and then text just put a gray of let's just 300. Okay, that's cool. And now 2 more properties which we need to provide, and first thing is that we will provide that as current user dot what you can say that email. So first we're gonna define that email. Class name text should be white, or as you know, you can figure it out whatever the class name is providing here. It's just a fancy thing, just designing. And now we need to define our image tag also. So let's just get a div, and I'm gonna get with image tag which going to be current user dot avatar, or we can define 2 different way. If current user dot avatar is available, then it's going to get that current user dot avatar. And if it's not available, then I'm gonna get one image which going to be that just to defining a profile image here. Okay, and it will be that user image. And let's get some class name. We're gonna define that width will be 64, height going to be 40. Okay, 40, rounded should be LG, border gray of 700, object cover not contain, cover padding 1. Okay, and also what we can do is that particularly that div class name empty should be 4, flex flex column item center justify center gap should be 4, as we're going to have a button here. So after that image we're gonna have a button which will say logout. Now what the image, it will be available if we don't have the current user. As you see, that will be the image, just to go with that, nothing fancy. So now for that login logout button, let's put some class name, and I'm gonna grab those class name from there. So let's just get the class name. Okay, and we're gonna create on click event here. Okay, which going to be an arrow function which will be making that auth dot sign out. That's it. So let's click here, let's see if it's working. Sign out. Yeah, it's sign out. So now there is a lot of other parameter which you can use, so either you can go with that or not. It's just a simple application. You can prefer with create more complex way if you are going through. And if you're having any problem with understanding, let me know in the comments below, or any doubt, let me know, so I will provide the code also if you really need it. So I hope you can create your entire things by doing that, and we'll see you in next video.